Welcome, friends. We are doing a variety stream for the first time in, I don't know, maybe 3-4 months. It's been a while. We were stuck on golf. And has anybody heard from Steph? I'm starting to get genuinely worried. I know they don't have like power in a lot of those areas and they don't have cell phone signal, but it's kind of scary. So they need prayer. People affected by Hurricane Helene. I'm just going to sit here. Someone told me I should do this recently. Said you should have longer just chatting at the start of the stream. And I was like, well, kind of hard because usually I'm playing with other people and it's kind of coordinated like when we're going to start and then people are running late. So it's never a hard time because people have real life stuff going on and then they're running late and we wait till the gang is assembled and then everyone's like, let's start now. Let's go. They don't want to wait for my timer even. So it's hard to time this kind of thing and sit and chat because I don't know, I might be sitting here for half an hour, might be sitting here for an hour with nobody here to talk to. But I'm doing it this time. I am just going to sit here until someone picks one of those games or wants to play one of those games with me. Super awkward for me. Skull Vikes took down the pack. I didn't get to see it, but apparently we were annihilating them in the first half, and then we came out a different team in the second half, and we almost lost it. But we're 4-0, baby. So I wore my Packer. We're going to be reading the Bible later. I don't know if this shirt is appropriate, but I'm wearing my old Brett Favre Packer shirt that I made. Favre, when he came over to the Vikes. Classic. I don't know why I showed that to you. I don't even wear this in public. It's an undershirt. What are we playing, chat? Or are we just chatting tonight? Or am I going to talk to myself for like... How long should I talk to myself before we just go into ACDF readings? Maybe like 20 minutes. Talk to myself for 20 minutes. Nobody shows. We'll do 30 minutes. I think I can handle 30 minutes. Wonder if I could just run ads for 30 minutes till someone says something. That does look cool. They need a more hardcore Tarkov. Now that Tarkov is getting like so mainstream, it's I don't know, getting a little arcadey for me. And it seems like too easy to level up now. There's just 8 million quests. You used to have like a quest lines that you'd like be on at a certain level, like for the most part. And then there'd be some diversity like between Flea and like 30. Well, 30, you'd have some diversity. And then level 30 and up, a lot of people would be on a lot of the same tasks. So you could kind of tell what people were doing by their level. And now it's all over the place. You could be like level 50 and you got to do pocket watch. It's also gotten really, even though they added inertia, I feel like it keeps getting less and less realistic. Like jumping and shooting at the same time. The recoil, it's like Call of Duty recoil on some of those guns. It's like, what is this? It's just a laser. It would never fire like. Hardcore Tarkov, also because you lose your gear fear. And I strive to get that gear fear back, but it never really comes all the way back like it did when you start. So they need like more of a penalty when you die. Like maybe when you die, you like can't play for a little while. Like what if when you die in a raid, you can't load into another raid for an hour. Not even a scav. You're just a dead guy recuperating. And then if you die for the second time of the day, you gotta wait 2 hours to play again. That would add a little bit of the fear back. Then your third time, you have to wait 3 hours. If you've already died twice, you're like, dude, I cannot die. It'll be the end of the night for me. I had the day off to play Tarkov. It's wipe day. I've died 4 times. That's my whole day. Well, you could never do this. I don't think there's any way you could possibly do this legally, but if you made it so you couldn't play another game either during that hour, you couldn't just like die and then like switch over to COD and kill an hour or switch over to something else or arena or something. It would just be like your computer would just be like useless for an hour. That would be hardcore. People would play their life then. People wouldn't be hopping around like Call of Duty. Oh, imagine team kills. Imagine if you get team killed by the same teammate for the second time in the night, which is already like unbelievably brutal as it is. But that happens, and then that one person caused you to not be able to play any games for 3 hours. You're just like watching your team on Discord. Imagine how good the callouts would have to be. Nobody would shoot at anything without like quadruple checking. That would make the game so much better. Because people would be like they'd be like walking around like legit real life. It would be so immersive. You'd be so focused all the time. You'd never, like when you die, if you're new, you don't ever have this, but after a few wipes or even like halfway through your first wipe, if you're kind of higher level, unless you're trying to go for Kappa, you kind of get to a point where you die and you're just like, whatever, I'll get it back. And if you have a really bad streak, whatever, I could just scav and get my money back. But if you couldn't do that, I mean, they can't take away scavving. I'm a little biased because I'm a scav main, but they could increase the timer and they could still make it where like if your PMC dies, you can't scav and you can't play arena. It would be impossible, but it would be awesome if you couldn't play anything else. It just like shut down Steam, Fortnite, COD, everything. People would play their life then. They'd be like, I cannot die. And then when you get like a task item, you could get your Salewa. It's your last Salewa. You're like, dude, I can't die. And you're like creep walking. It wouldn't be popular though. It's the same reason that COD turned into run and gun. People just want to run around and kill stuff. That's what Warzone has become. People just want to run around and kill stuff. It's no like thinking, no strategy, no like big brain plays or really good teamwork. It's just run around and kill stuff. Oh, you died? Let me go to the buy station. Use this money from the last team we killed. Warzone would be better if they just got rid of the buy stations. It was like Blackout. Oh man, Blackout was so awesome. Well, that would drive so many people away from the game though. Maybe keep the buys, but have it have the price for a buyback be like a ton of money. Like 20 grand. Like, do we want our loadout or do we want our buddy back? What's the value pick here? Or it went up? What if it just started at like the first res, you go buy someone at the buy station, it's like 12 grand. But if you have to buy someone else, then it's like 16 and then it's 20. And if you guys are just pushing bounties all the time, anytime someone died, it'd be like, dude, we got to find 24,000 to get you now. That would kind of slow people down. Get them to play their life. But the run and gunner the masses would hate that. The masses would hate if it went back to Blackout and you were dead and you just spectated your team waiting till the next game. But I mean, that's how Tarkov is. Unless you jump in a scav or you're going to do a quick money run, you basically usually waiting for your team to get out to join them again, putting your new kit on and whatnot. They need something like, they need some kind of hardcore game like that. They need something where it's like Warzone 1, Iron, number 1 Warzone player in Warzone 1, number 1 in wins, and he did it like with his mind. He did it with strategy and finding strong positions and making smart rotations. And that's like gone. It's like whatever. First they like, it's been a slow decline. They just try to get rid of that way of playing completely. First they bring in first was snapshot grenades, actually. I was gonna say the drill charges. First it was snapshot grenades. So if someone was like laying around in a bush in final circle or hiding in a corner of a building, you could just like throw snapshots around. And if they didn't have cold-blooded, or I can't remember if it's cold-blooded. No, it's not cold-blooded. It was one of the first perks. You'd have to waste a perk just to block snapshot grenades. And I think it only helped with like one other thing. Stuns, maybe? Which was a little late because stuns were ridiculous in Warzone 1 and then they nerfed them. But first it was snapshot grenades. Get rid of the campers. We don't like the campers. I don't care. If I can't camp in your game, I'm probably not going to play it. I'm just saying. I'm probably going to get bored. And the masses would say the exact opposite. They'd be like, we're camping. This is boring. Or we were camping, but we got out-camped by this other camper. This other camping team. This is boring. But I would love that. I think that's like more intense and more realistic, more immersive for me. Yeah, then Warzone 3 came out, so that was Warzone 2. That they didn't call Warzone 2, but it was Warzone 2, Caldera. Then Warzone 3 came out, El Mazra. And then they had drill charges. So the strong points in the map, like the strong buildings you could hold and stuff, weren't that strong to begin with. But then people could just throw drill charges all around the perimeter of the building and damage people, take all the plates off a bunch of people inside and come in and wipe them easy. They're like, no camping in the building, we got drill charges now. This is dumb. So basically it was push or get pushed. That was when it really started to turn into push or get pushed, which was incredibly boring. So then Warzone 4 comes out. They still have drill charges. Snapshots, I don't think those have been relevant at all in Warzone 4 that I know of. But you don't really need them. There's amazing movement speed on SMGs, and you can like jump and shoot at the same time, and some people are like hopping around shooting. I mean, you've always been able to do that, but I feel like it's more prevalent now because you don't have this slide cancel glitch that would kind of like help you break the camera. Your game should minimize breaking cameras, and it should minimize the difference between different people's pings. That should be less of an issue. If you could just slide cancel around a corner and it like breaks their camera to the point where you're shooting before they see you like turn the corner and come out of your crouch, that's silly. Or when now it's just the jump around the corner. Your dude just jumps around the corner and is shooting. And to the guy getting shot, he lands, but you're already like all your plates are gone already. And you're just but if you just want to run around and kill people, go for a personal best. For me, that just turns into multiplayer. Like, why not just play multiplayer? Kind of like Rebirth. I've never really been into Rebirth because I end up fighting the same person like 5 times. Like, what is this, multiplayer? How am I still fighting this guy? I killed you 4 times, and now you just killed me. See you again. It's like multiplayer with parachutes. Like, I want when you die, it's a really big deal. It's like, oh no. I got my antifreeze. Colby likes my antifreeze. It's the original color of Coke. Filters, green screen. Look at it's like antifreeze. This is what Coke would have looked like if they didn't add the caramel color to it. And Kobe said, ew. I think it looks like Mountain Dew, kind of. It's like a neon Mountain Dew. And you can do this. So it's like more important than drinking it. It doubles as a green screen drink, which is key for streamers. This should be the drink of streamers, just so they could do this, because I know this is like really entertaining you right now. This is kind of a big deal. I appreciate everyone lurking. I love the lurks. But I need one person that wants to play with me. One of those games. So Age of Empires 2 is the best one. But it's like 25 years old. So Age of Empires 4 is an updated version that came out maybe 2 years ago or something, and has way better graphics. I mean, obviously, 20 plus years later, I would hope it have better graphics. But it just doesn't, it's just not the classic. So if I'm playing with other people, I play Age of Empires 2. Usually. Age of Empires 4 is just kind of like, oh, I'm playing by myself, and here's better graphics for you. What did I talk about? Talked about Tarkov, more hardcore version of Tarkov. More strategy version of Warzone. You know what else Warzone needs other than the buys either being removed or everything be more expensive? Especially reses. Reses should be like at least 12 grand if they're going up by 4 for every res. Or they just are always 20 or something crazy. Or just take them out. They should also fix the streaks. So if you're inside, you can't die to the streak. I don't care what the roof is made out of. The roof could be made out of tin. It should just be like, I'm under something. I mean, other than like a tree. I'm under something. I should be safe from the airstrike. And it has to be like super consistent. Like, oh, your foot was sticking out. That's why you died. Not like, oh, you were too close to the edge. Or you were like too close to the window in that building. Or that building's roof doesn't protect you from precisions, but other roofs do. I feel like, isn't there a building where you can get down from a precision through 2 roofs? I know that happened. I just can't think of what building that was. You have 2 roofs above you. There's 2 ceilings. And the precision can still get you. Not even by a window or nothing. Just in the middle of the building. It's like they're both paper. Well, I mean, obviously, if they were like tin, precision would still go through. Obviously, mortars would go through. I think that's a failed effort to make it realistic, though. If you get under cover, a streak shouldn't hurt you. Oh, and the precisions, showing exactly the area that you're going to die from the precision, that needs to go away. If you're on a roof, and it's not like a really big roof, and you get the notification that there's a precision coming, you shouldn't be able to look at the map and be like, oh, 3 steps to the left, and we're good. So you're looking at that plane off in that F-14 off in the distance. Someone that knows a lot about planes is gonna be like, that's not the one that would do the precision. You're staring at this whatever plane flying in, and you're like, well, it's really only gonna hit here. If I take like 3 steps to the left, I could just stay on this roof and snipe people. Who cares? That's got to go away. What else needs to change about Warzone? What would make me like Warzone and get back into it, other than everything I just said? Because those would be huge. Those would really get me back into it. Talked about breaking cameras. Talked about camping. Talk about push or be pushed. Oh, streaks. There should be less like really good stuff in loot boxes. My team should not be sitting on 7 airstrikes just from looting boxes. Remember Warzone 1, like maybe like 1 or 2 people find something, and then either you grab something off someone you killed, or most of the time you're just running to a buy and grabbing a couple airstrikes or 1 airstrike and a selfie. Now it's like you go to a bathroom and you get a selfie like 1 out of 3 bathrooms. And there's airstrikes all over the place out of boxes. That should be kind of a big deal. Shouldn't have like 100 plus airstreaks in one match of Warzone. That's kind of silly. Speaking of silly, oh, this is one improvement. The Juggernaut. That was really silly in Warzone 1. You can go look at a bunch of paintings and have someone enter a code and jump in the train or subway or whatever and go up, and then someone is the Juggernaut. And they are somehow like practically invincible. Just a dude with body armor. He is somehow a superhero now. That was silly. That was a major improvement. I mean, that was something that should have been an event for like a season. It's like this season, Juggernaut. It'd be like, oh, this is cool. And then it halfway through the season, it'd be like, dude, enough with the Juggernaut. What else about Warzone? Sniping. Sniping should be better. The snipers should be more consistent with low magnification scopes. They should just always go exactly where the crosshairs are. Some people are like, well, they do. Well, no, not at range. Like if you have like a 3 times and you're shooting at something like 200-300 meters, you can test this. You can have someone go stand at a spot on the wall, and you can aim at it, shoot exactly at that spot, and it's missing like left or right. There's bloom on it. It's not consistent. And it's like, this is a sniper rifle. And this is one of the 3 that one-shots at all distances. Like, this is what this does. This is the point. Not running around with this to quick scope. Oh, well, that's another thing about snipers. Snipers should be, because any gun that can one-shot should be more realistic. It should be awkward. It should be big and awkward. You should have a lot of sway unless you're crouched, and then crouched like helps a tiny bit. And then basically, if you want to be sniping hardcore, you got to be prone somewhere. And but it should be big and awkward. The ADS should be horrible. Nobody's. Again, it's just a game, and some people don't want realism in one way and they do in another, and everybody has a different take on which part of realism would help it. But having a one-shot gun, if you think about real life, if I'm going to snipe you at 200 meters, I'm not ADSing and getting a round off in less than a second. Nobody is. Nobody ever. They should be big, awkward. It should just have that delay like the old HDR had, that delayed, like to look into the scope. And they should be utterly useless. What else? We talked Tarkov. We talked Warzone. What would I improve in WGT? The graphics. Oh my goodness. They haven't updated the graphics in like 15 years. It's the same JPEG backgrounds, which is, it's kind of cool because it's like vintage, nostalgic, but it's, if they want to attract new players to the game, they got to like try to keep up a little bit. I mean, that's a long time to not improve your graphics. Even Age of Empires improved their graphics. That's a definite. What else would I change? Oh, they used to have the I forgot what it was called. It was like reputation, or something like that, where if you quit on a match in the middle of the match, especially alternate shot, because then the whole match would be done and everyone would just return to the home screen and it would be like, oh, cool. We were halfway through and we can't get through a match because someone keeps quitting. There was rep, so they had like a bar. If you kept doing that, it would go down to yellow. If you did it a lot, it would go down to red. So then when people were joining up to play, you would know right off the bat, this guy's rep is terrible. I'm not going to play with this quitter. And then the host of the lobby could just boot him and say, no, we're just trying to find people with good rep that we know are going to finish the match. I don't know why they got rid of that. That made perfect sense. WGT needs more game modes because it's basically like alternate shot and coin games. And I don't play coin games, and stroke, I guess, but they need more like Stableford, cumulative shot with your teammate. I don't know. They need more of that stuff. Took like half hour, 40 minutes. Having a good stream so far? I don't know. I don't really do this. I usually start my stream and I'm gaming right away. Because I'm usually playing with other people. And that's so ingrained that even when it's single player or variety night, I usually just dive into a game. I talk for like 30 seconds or a minute or two tops, and I dive into a game. And I've just been running my mouth for 50 minutes, insulting the games that I love. And if I'm just sitting here, not playing anything, I'll probably just go into the readings pretty soon. Originally, I said like 20, 30 minutes. I'll try to talk and stretch myself for 20, 30 minutes. And somehow, all my complaining added up to 49 minutes so far. So that's good. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. I work out at night, so I'm on at about 11. Okay. What are you doing today? Is it leg day? Gotta keep it down so I don't wake up my son. Chest and back. Nice. Fun day. Leg day is the worst, in my opinion. Like, this is almost like a filler day. But I grew up in the 80s and 90s where we all just like worked on our upper body and had pencil legs, and that was like normal. Maybe I should just go into the readings and not do a game tonight. Ad. Oh my gosh, I've been talking so long. There's an ad. All right. I'm gonna do an ad break. And we'll be back with something. Stay tuned. I'd be talking about like some extra special stuff while the ads are playing. So when people come back from ads, it's like, oh, you missed it. Oh, that's mean. Can't treat them that way. Oh, we're back. We are back. You missed it. It was pretty sweet. I went to the bathroom. Not on stream. You didn't miss anything. If I could just turn off ads, I would. I have it at the very minimum. So now, because I ran that 3-minute ad, we're ad free for the rest of the stream, except pre-rolls. In an hour, people will get pre-rolls, but I'd rather people get pre-rolls than absolutely punish the people that are here, forcing ads down their throat, making them want to subscribe or leave. I'm trying to love on you guys. I'm not trying to force ads down your throat. The worst is it's like any streaming service, you get like the same ads. I like commercials. I like watching commercials. I always have since I was young. Like if they're new, if they're creative or they're funny. But watching the same ad that you've seen 10 times or 100 times, and you just see it and you're just like, oh. In your heart, that one ad feels like 50. But I get that's what they got to do it. They got to incentivize it. Maybe I'll change my tune if I had a lot of people in here and I actually like made money on ads. What if I always had like 80 people in here? Would I change? Would I change who I am? No. I hope not. Would I all of a sudden be like, we're going back to ads? 3 to 7 minutes an hour. Because sometimes it just works out where it's like, someone might tune in and I just I'm running ads like when they get here. And then I do a Tarkov raid and it's like 20, 25 minutes later or whatever, I run another 3-minute ad. And then I die right away. And I'm like, well, they're not missing anything. So I run another 3-minute ad just to make sure it's like going to be for sure ad free for the whole 45, 50 minutes of the raid. And like pre-roll free. But keeping up with that is just like, why am I doing this? I have to work on seeing myself from your viewpoint, putting myself in your shoes and seeing like, well, what would I watch? Would I watch this? Me blabbing? Probably not. Gotta be honest, I probably would not. Especially with all the stuff I was talking about. Well, I guess I would have, because I'd be like, oh, he's making some good points. But if I disagreed, which I think the mass number of people that play the games and heard the things I was talking about and the changes I would want would completely disagree and would immediately leave. Like, this guy is on crack. Goodbye. God bless. How long have I been talking? 1 hour. We just hit the 1 hour mark. I have been yapping to myself and a little bit cooking. Talked to Cooking a little bit and Fleef a little bit. So I'm probably not counting talking to them. I'm probably at 58 minutes. I should probably give it another 2 minutes. Then I could say that I just chatted for 1 hour. Oh no, we took a 3-minute break. We had an 11-minute timer. Probably talked to people for like 3 and a 3-minute break. So 17. I gotta wait till I've been streaming for 1 hour and 17 minutes. Then I know that I accomplished a great feat for myself. I stretched myself far beyond my wildest goals and dreams. So 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. What do I talk about for 5 minutes? What would I change in... What's another one of the games? Fortnite? I don't know. I don't play Fortnite enough to like want to change stuff. I mean, I like zero build, but that's already a thing. Not having to build stuff, that would have been my only thing. I can't think of another thing I'd change in Fortnite. Now, if I played Fortnite all the time, I'd be like, ugh. They gotta do this. They gotta do that. Can't really think of something with Fortnite. Fortnite's fun. I mean, all the games are fun. Risk. What would I change in Risk? That's a hard one because it's just a board game. What can you change in Risk? Oh, the old Risk. The old Risk had you could get what was it? I remember you had defensive die and attack die. You had these different things you could get. Like there'd be quests. So it'd be like if you occupy 20 territories, then you get this, you complete the quest. The first person to do that gets the attack die. And so for the rest of the game, instead of rolling 3 dice, if they have enough territories, they get to roll 4 dice. Big advantage. But then even bigger advantage to that, because the tie always goes to the defender, was there was a defensive die. So it was like, there'd be some other quests like occupy this specific continent, and then you get the defensive die. And there were a lot of games where it would like come down to the defensive die against the offensive die person, because those were pretty big. But there was a whole bunch of different, like, you could put like bases where one place would like give you a buff on anything, any territory you attacked from that place. So if it was like Africa and it was like that, whatever the middle one is there, Congo. If you put your base there, then all the surrounding ones that were touching that one would get some kind of buff. Maybe it was an extra die or +1 on the lowest number or whatever it was. I don't know. Some kind of advantage. But there was like 5 or 6 different like things you could be getting. And that added a lot of extra strategy. And it changed it up because it was like, oh, I usually do this or this, but if I do this and make a run at it, I could get this perk and play totally different this time. And they had a lot of maps. I think they still have a lot of maps with this one. I just don't play them because I like the classic. Especially if there's no like perks or anything. I don't know all the advantages and disadvantages of all these made up maps. Fishing, what would I change at fishing? Nothing. I haven't played it enough. Age of Empires 4. Why do I like Age of Empires 2 better than 4? Oh, one big reason is 4's like glitchy sometimes with walls, and people can like weasel their way around some tree or something and get around your wall sometimes if you don't like build it right. Onagers. Oh, the siege onagers in Age of Empires 2. One of my favorite things to do. This is super trolly and toxic, so maybe take it with a grain of salt. But you take your siege onager, right? And it can level trees. So instead of shooting at enemies, you just say shoot at this spot, which could be like a defensive posture that no one would ever use, but a defensive posture like I'm just going to bomb this spot. So you could do that to trees and annihilate trees. So you can cut a path right through the trees into an enemy base where they would never think to have a wall. And all of a sudden there'd just be this gaping hole and all your troops would be coming along right behind it. And then they'd just be swarmed. I wouldn't use it for that though. I use it for a much more sinister purpose. I would go to my teammate, whoever it was, usually it was Llama, and I would start at his base and basically do the opposite. I would start at his base and rip a hole through the trees all the way to the enemy. And he'd be so focused because he's like OCD like me. So he's just like laser focused on like one thing. No idea this trail is going straight to the enemy. And once the enemy finds it, and all of a sudden he has like an enemy in his camp and he doesn't really notice. And then all the enemies are pouring down that chute into my buddy's city. That's my teammate. But it was hilarious because we weren't just playing to win. It wasn't good enough to win. Like we wanted to be high points. Like we'd fight over like who's going to be the highest points on the team. So we'd always be finding like strategies to sabotage our teammate to give us a leg up on points. And sometimes, obviously, we'd lose because of it. But oh, I miss the siege onager taking out the trees. They need that in Age of Empires 4. That was fun. What else about 2 is so great? I think it's just because the graphics aren't as good. It's like blocky. Everything just seems more blocky and there's less elevation changes. But it's so like solid. Like it just works. There's no like hardly any like glitches. It just is what it is. There's no like, well, how did this happen? That's weird. How'd this guy get through over here? Like it's just straight up. I think it's way more competitive. I think Age of Empires 2 is to Age of Empires 4 what CSGO is to Call of Duty. I think that's a good analogy. Like they're all fun. We made it. We made it an hour and 2 minutes talking about nothing. We are finished. Who are we going to raid, folks? I talked over an hour about nothing to nobody but lurkers. I love you, lurkers. I don't know why you're still here. Kobe is here. How you doing, Kobe? Good to see you. I was just about to go into the readings. I was going to do a variety stream. Kids just went to bed. I hear ya. My kids are fast asleep. I'm keeping it down so I don't wake them up. Wake my son up. My home office, where I work from home, and where all my gaming and streaming stuff, is a corner of my son's bedroom. It's just a little corner. That's why you never see me like stand up and dance. Well, I wouldn't stand up and dance regardless, no matter what. But you never see me stand up and like do anything because I'm in this little like corner, like cropped in. Like this is, Even the green screen takes way too much space. Someday I'll upgrade the green screen. We're in like a small townhome. Someday I'll update the green screen to one that goes up to the ceiling where you could just like pull it down. And then like when I'm done streaming, it's just like, and then there's like a whole bunch more space. So it's not an outside shed. Contrary to how it looks. I know it's very realistic looking. You know what? The shed would be better. If I had a home that was, well, I can't say smaller because now I'm gypping the rest of my family. If I had a home the same size, but I had a shed like this to stream in, or whatever this is, oh my gosh, that would be so awesome. That would be so awesome. That would be like living the dream. And I could set my own AC. Well, this thing probably doesn't have AC. I didn't think about that. If I could set my own AC to my own temperature, so the Jamaican wife can have her 75 degrees all the time, and I could have it like 65 in here all the time. And these PCs could just like cook, and the AC would just battle them, and the AC would win. Yeah, that looks awesome. It does look awesome. What is this? Is that a chainsaw or a leaf blower? It looks like a chainsaw. One of those. What else do we have? We got the fridge that clearly has a half gallon of rotten milk and maybe like a half block of expired cheese, and then like a couple like Miller Lights. That's what's in that fridge. I don't know what this red thing is. Maybe like I string that up because I always hit my head right there. That's like kind of like my warning. Like I see that and it's like, oh yeah, that's why I'm dumb. Is she really Jamaican? Yes. I married a spicy Jamaican. Most amazing woman in the world. Probably a chainsaw. That's what I'm thinking. Does look like a chainsaw. How y'all meet? We met because we were celebrating two different things as one big group. So she was in a group celebrating one of my good friends' wife's graduation from, I think, her 2-year nursing. And her husband, which is one of my good friends, and a bunch of us were having to get together to say goodbye to my brother who was moving out to Hawaii. So we just happened to be hanging out at the same time at the same restaurant. And I sat across from her. And I thought she was cute, but I didn't want anything to do with women. I was done with relationships and I didn't want to get hurt again. And I, like my girlfriend before her, cheated on me 7 times. And I kept taking her back. And it was, that whole relationship was brutal. And then, I mean, I have fond memories too, but thinking about it now is brutal. And then that was a 3-year relationship. And then before that, there was another 3-year relationship where she left me. And that was brutal because I moved in with her. Both of us had kind of dysfunctional homes and we were kind of trying to get away from all that craziness, chaos. And even though I didn't believe in living together before you're married, none of us, or neither one of us, could afford living on our own, and it just made sense. And we just did it. But I still saved, even with living with a woman for 3 years, I still saved intercourse for marriage. That was like a hard line. But then she left me. And I used to be a looker. Does that mean she's black? Yes. Is Jamaican. Oh, I was talking about how we met. Yeah, I didn't want anything to do with women. And I'm sitting across from her and it's just like, whatever. And I'm all disheveled, wearing my tattered clothes and not trying to impress anyone, didn't care. Kind of like how I look now. I had a beard. Didn't have long hair though, because I never had long hair my whole life. Until like 5 years ago when I started growing this out. I was always high and tight. But then as I'm leaving, my buddy's wife said, here, I have someone I want you to meet. And she brought me over to the bar and sat me next to her. Neither one of us drank because I had just quit drinking recently. So we sat next to each other at the bar and it was super awkward. And I was like, I do not want to be here. I don't want to be in a relationship. I'm just trying to be nice. And we kind of sat there in silence for a little bit. And then she started talking about her faith. And then it was like, I was like a dog with his ears perking up. I was like, oh. And then we started talking about it. And then it was a really good conversation. We were sitting at a bar, not drinking, talking about Jesus, how much we love Jesus, talking about our faith. And then when girls would ask me out, I'd always like test them. I don't know if I should say this on the stream. I'm kind of embarrassed about this. I would basically act like I don't have time for them just to test them to see if they'd still be around. So I would be like, if they asked me out, I'd be like, yeah, for sure. I just can't for like 6 weeks or 2 months or whatever it was. I'd make up some arbitrary long time that I just wasn't available yet. Too busy. And then if they were still around, and still wanted to, if they approached me again, then I'd go out with them. But most of the time, they were already with someone else at that point. And then I was like, ooh, dodged a bullet because they are needing someone right now. And they want someone that like completes them and is their everything. And so I did the same thing with her. We were talking about going to church together and I was going to visit her church. And I was like, oh yeah, for sure. I can't for like 6 weeks. But if you reach out to me in like 6 weeks, I could, my schedule will start opening up. And she reached out exactly 6 weeks later. Are we still going to go to church? I was like, what the? All right. Went to church. Went and got coffee after. I can't remember what we did the second date. I didn't count these as dates. I can't remember what we did. Bowling was the third one. We went bowling and I was driving her home and she's like, well, what do you think after our third date? And I'm like, what? These are dates? I was just hanging out. But I fell for her. And it was within a month to 3 months. I can't remember exactly, but it was like really, really soon that I knew like she's it. Not even like thinking about her as a mother, which is like the most amazing mother ever. But I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking about myself. All right. I've been yapping. Sorry, I've been in yap mode. I bet the beard was a huge factor. Oh. She said I looked like a lost puppy. Well, she's codependent. And I'm addict, alcoholic, compulsive, which is a perfect storm for a disaster. But we've been through it. She saw the beard and my disheveled, I don't care what everyone thinks, hairdo and clothes. I mean, I was clean. I wasn't like grunge. I was already like a kind of a germaphobe, but she was like germaphobe extreme. I mean, I was always clean, but I was just always had like a I don't care, whatever look about me at that phase of my life. And she thought I looked like a lost puppy. And her best friend was like, "What do you see in him?" And then I shaved and everything. Her best friend was like, "What the?" About the, I believe it about the looker. You believe it? How? How do you believe it? Look like Forrest Gump. I don't know any girls that really like beards. Texas girls do? All right. Well, I got to steer clear of Texas then. Mental note, steer clear of Texas. I love Texas. I love El Paso. I gotta go to the bathroom. Oh, Kobe. Well, I drank most of it now. I'm drinking your antifreeze. I was talking about you before you got here. Like, too bad Kobe's not here. I'm drinking his antifreeze. Your Coke. Now I'm gonna think of that every time I drink the green kind. I gotta go to the bathroom. Be right back. Back. Dude, it's kind of cool that I didn't play a game tonight. I've never ever done this, so it's a first. Absolutely shattered my goal for minutes talking to myself. And then I didn't even play a game. Just chatted. I don't think a lot of people would appreciate the things I was saying though. So I was basically saying make every game a camping game. So I started watching streams and getting plugged into different communities and whatnot. And I found some streamer that had just started. She had just started. I don't know how I found her. And I was her only viewer. And it was just her with her phone, like holding her phone. And obviously no background or anything except for whatever the room was. I think it was like just like an office, like at home or something. And she's just sitting there with her phone, staring at the camera. And I was like, oh my gosh, she is so brave. She's literally just staring at the camera, waiting to talk to people. So I started talking to her, and she was cool. I was one of her first follows. I was her first sub. And she doesn't stream anymore. But I remember being impressed by that because I'm like, I would never be able to do that. I would never be able to just stare at the camera and nobody's saying anything back and I'm just hanging out. And I did that tonight. I'm very proud of myself. Good job, Troy. Do we go to ACDF readings? Good readings tonight. We're on step 1. You know what I was thinking about? Here, let me show you. Thinking about this limiter in my voice. Well, I probably shouldn't do it with my voice. Here's my game one. So I can turn up the volume of my voice. Well, I'll do part of it with this. I can turn up my volume so the quiet parts are louder, but it's never going to get past this unless I raise this. So I'm like putting a limit to make sure it never gets past that. I was thinking about loving yourself. And the volume is like you loving other people. And you're trying to love other people as best you can. But then you have this limiter on here. It's like how much you love yourself. We agreed I wasn't going to use that one. You have this limiter that's like how much you love yourself. So if you don't love yourself first, like this is all the love you got to give. This is your perception of love. But as you understand God and his love for you, and you love yourself, you agree with God on that. Your capacity for love and your understanding and your I forgot the word I was thinking of. You have a bigger cup. It's like God giving you a bigger cup to pour out. And Jesus doesn't say love other people more than you love yourself. He says love other people as you love yourself. Meaning, like, he already assumed you love yourself. And I think with a lot of scripture, obviously Satan like twists it into something else. And I think at some point, I don't know if this is an American culture thing or this is because I see it a lot just like in our culture and in our media. The truth being like twisted. Or maybe it's much older than that. I don't know. But at some point, people thought, I'm going to love other people more than myself. And then secretly, they become small and they don't love themselves at all. And they still have needs and they still have feelings. So they then have to be more sneaky about those needs and feelings. They become manipulative to try to get those needs met. And they get very resentful when they love someone and the love doesn't come back from that person. They get upset. But if they learn to love themselves first, it kind of like opens up the door to love other people more fully. It's like this limiter was like limiting their output. Their lack of love for themselves was limiting their output. I don't know. That's just what I was thinking about. I don't know what else I could do to kill any more time. That wasn't a time kill, though. I think that was important. LOL. Maybe not. Swing and a miss. My mind wanders. My mind wanders into weird. These are the 14 traits of an adult child of an alcoholic or dysfunctional family. They say if you have 3 or more of these, that this program is for you. And we should talk more about it. And I'll put some resources up if you're interested. 3 or more. Trait 1, we became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures. Trait 2, We became approval seekers and lost our identity in the process. Trait 3. We are frightened by angry people and any personal criticism. Trait 4. We either become alcoholics, marry them, or both, or find another compulsive personality, such as a workaholic, to fulfill our sick abandonment needs. Trait 5. We live life from the viewpoint of victims, and we are attracted by that weakness in our love and friendship relationships. Trait 6. We have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it is easier for us to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. This enables us to not look too closely at our own faults, etc. Trait 7. We get guilt feelings when we stand up for ourselves instead of giving in to others. Trait 8. We became addicted to excitement. That does not mean Evel Knievel, Daredevil, you're doing crazy things. This just means you're recreating your childhood, whatever it was. If it was chaos, you're recreating chaos. Busyness is a big symptom here. Always needing a TV on, like when you sleep. Always needing noise. Always need to be moving and doing the next thing. You can never just like sit and be at peace. Like, you need action. You always need something going. Trait 9. We confuse love and pity and tend to love people we can pity and rescue. Trait 10. We have stuffed our feelings from our traumatic childhoods and have lost the ability to feel or express our feelings because it hurts so much. Denial. Trait 11. We judge ourselves harshly and have a very low sense of self-esteem. Trait 12. We are dependent personalities who are terrified of abandonment and will do anything to hold on to a relationship in order to not experience painful abandonment feelings, which we received from living with sick people who were never there emotionally for us. Trait 13. Alcoholism is a family disease. We became para-alcoholics, codependents, and took on the characteristics of that disease even though we did not pick up the drink. This is how it skips the generation. It could skip 2 generations. Then all of a sudden, there's an addict, alcoholic, and the parents and grandparents are like, what did we do wrong? We didn't even touch this stuff. Well, you didn't go to recovery. You didn't work on any of this stuff. Trait 14. Para-alcoholics, codependents are reactors rather than actors. Next, we'll read Tony A's 12 steps. Actually, we never read the promises. Let's do the promises. These are the promises of ACDF. We will discover our real identities by loving and accepting ourselves. Our self-esteem will increase as we give ourselves approval on a daily basis. Fear of authority figures and the need to people please will leave us. Our ability to share intimacy will grow inside us. As we face our abandonment issues, we will be attracted by strengths and become more tolerant of weaknesses. We will enjoy feeling stable, peaceful, and financially secure. We will learn how to play and have fun in our lives. We will choose to love people who can love and be responsible for themselves. Healthy boundaries and limits will become easier for us to set. Fears of failures and success will leave us as we intuitively make healthier choices. With help from our ACA support group, we will slowly release our dysfunctional behaviors. Gradually, with our higher power's help, we learn to expect the best and get it. Some of that wording can be frustrating for you, because not you, Kobe, just for in general, for me, for anybody. Because there's obviously gray area. There's instances where, well, that's not 100% all the time. That's not like should be your goal. Those are just the promises of the fruit of doing the work in this program. We'll still do the steps. Tony A's 12 Steps of ACA. Slightly modified from the AA and Alateen that existed before this. This came around in 1979 or 1980, one of the two. Step 1. We admitted we were powerless over the effects of alcoholism or other family dysfunction, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3. We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand God. Step 4. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6. We were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 7. We humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. Step 8. We made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9. We made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10. We continued to take personal inventory and, when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understand God, praying only for knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry it out. Step 12. Having had a spiritual experience as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others who still suffer and to practice these principles in all our affairs. All right, so we could do the slideshows. Now we'll take a break so I can set up the hand cam and get into the book. I could run an ad, but I'm not going to because I don't. So we're not just talking about the alcoholic or the addicted parent. We're talking about overly militaristic, strict parents. We're talking about emotionally ill. There's all kinds of mentally ill here. There's narcissism is a big one here. There's abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, hypochondriac parent, and perfectionistic, which is a big one for me in my whole family tree. And the common thread that everyone in this group that gets healing from is there's a common shame and abandonment. We left off at the step